All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to compete at Bellator 284, which goes down on August the 12th. We have a very intriguing bantamweight bout set between Marcos Breno and Josh Hill, and welcoming Josh onto the show for the very first time. How's your day going so far there, man?
Not bad, man. Not bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty solid. Just kind of wondering about the opponent switch dynamic for this one. Like, are you someone who, I guess at this point in your career with the experience you have, is it just like a casual, like, adapt to whatever the next task is kind of consideration? Or like, what were your thoughts on just the opponent switch there from Mateus Matos there?
It wasn't a huge switch, to be honest. Both guys Brazilian, both like to strike, both have good jiu-jitsu. So it wasn't like a huge drastic change in styles. It wasn't like went from fighting some tall, lanky striker to a short, stocky wrestler or something like that. So really, it wasn't a big switch at all.
Yeah, and is this someone that you've been doing a little bit of tape study on? Because just being a promotional newcomer and stuff like that, but like I imagine you're able to check out like previous fights and stuff like that. Like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, his skill set and what he does well? If like the tape study has been like a big fixture in this one.
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot. I look at the person and just kind of get a feel of their body style, what they kind of like to do, more so the way they move. But I don't get too in depth because I don't expect the same person the next time they step in the cage, because myself, I like to change shit up every time. So, but just from watching him, I think he's a young up and comer, hungry. He's coming off a nice knockout, which got him signed to Bellator. So he's going to come in, I think, very aggressive. He likes to come forward quite a bit. And yeah, he's going to look to try to make a statement, being his first fight in the promotion. But I think as far as experience-wise, he hasn't fought anywhere near my caliber. So it'll be a big step up for him.
Yeah, and just in terms of like where you're training at nowadays, I'm kind of curious about that. Like, I've noticed you either seem to like train with like the Team Alpha Male guys or like more around like some of the gyms in like Southern Ontario area, like just such a rich area for that. So like, whereabouts are you, I guess, mainly training at for this one?
So for this one, I'm not going out to Alpha Male for this one. Just no particular reason why. I usually do go out there a bunch for my camps, but for this one, I'm just doing it here. I'm training at Agus in Oakville MMA. Agus MMA in Oakville. Niagara Top Team in St. Catharines. I go to BTC but once a week to spar, and then my gym, Vision Quest. So I kind of spread out all over the place, like you said, throughout Southern Ontario, and just kind of go to different gyms on different days for what they're offering that day.
Yeah, it's such a great scene around here and stuff like that. And I feel like I saw you were cornering Liam Gallagher, or at the very least there was that like picture of you with like the Gallagher representation from, I believe it was the London kind of card there. So like, how cool is it to like still be actively like competing at a very high level, but also like imparting that knowledge to some of like the younger kind of up and coming fighters? I would think that would be fulfilling.
Yeah, for sure. Liam's one of my guys, one of my up and comers, and he's got definitely a bright future for sure. Yeah, it's good. It's fun, like, because I remember being in their shoes, and when we started out, and having guys that kind of we looked up to, and that taught us, guys like Antonio Carvalho and Adrian Woolley, and
oh yeah,
Justin Bruckman, and those guys, they kind of paved the way for us. And now I'm the vet, and I'm the old guy now, and I'm just kind of helping them out and teaching some of the things that I went through, and the do's and don'ts, and things to avoid or expect, things like that. So yeah, it's good. It's very fulfilling. I like helping the guys out, and I like seeing them do well and helping them grow and create some good some new careers coming up.
Yeah, it's funny you phrase it like that. I feel like you very much didn't look like an old guy the last time out there with the Jared Scoggins one-punch knockout stoppage. Like, how do you feel coming off of a victory like that? I mean, I would think it would be tremendously cathartic, but was it like one of the more satisfying, like, highlight reel stoppages of the career, you'd say?
Yeah, for sure. I've had a few good like knockouts, but yeah, that one just because on the stage too, right? So it was my first finish in Bellator. It was my third win, but first time I finished. So yeah, that was huge. It was and it was nice to actually fight in front of the crowd again and feel that, because my 3 previous fights before that were all during the pandemic, no crowd or anything like that, and so it was cool to do it kind of once, just for that experience. But it's way better with the crowd, man, and just to get that nice highlight reel knockout there with a big crowd, it was great.
And like a lot of times, like I'll hear fighters kind of talk about those sort of knockouts as if like almost the physical sensation is like they feel like they're like whiffing at the air, but it's like it just connects so cleanly. It sort of feels like that. Was there a similar, I guess, like tactile dynamic going on with that?
Yeah, for sure. It's usually the ones that you just kind of, usually anyways, that you don't load up on. You just put it out there and you don't really even feel it connect. Those are the ones that usually do the trick. The ones that you start really pushing, you try to knock them out. A lot of times, it doesn't happen. So yeah, the ones that you just kind of put out there, just perfect scenario, and just land right on the chin, right on the money. And yeah, it almost feels like you're not even really hitting anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was a super clean finish for sure, and over a guy that was, well regarded for sure, and all that. But it seems like checking out some of the social media and whatnot, you're very much a, proud dad and everything like that. Like, are your kids starting to get to the age where they, like, kind of realize what dad does, or still kind of at that age where it's, like, not the comprehensive awareness so much?
So my stepson's 12, so he knows, obviously. That's how actually me and his mom, my wife, met. I was doing my gym. She was bringing up for the kids classes. So he's been around it for a long time. So he gets it. He totally, he's never actually come watch me fight live. I'm not sure if he actually really wants to or not. I haven't really sat down and asked him, because there hasn't really been any opportunities to fight either locally and it was during the pandemic. So it's been a while. But my daughter, she's just turned 4. She's starting to understand. She knows that I go fight. She knows what I do. Anytime she sees fighting on TV, she just thinks it's me, obviously. And but yeah, she's getting more understood. But I asked her if she wanted to come, and she said no. She doesn't want to see me fight. And I'm cool with that. Maybe she'll change her mind, or by the time she actually does, I'll probably be retired. But yeah, she gets it, and it's cool to see her kind of get excited when fights are on. She just thinks automatically that's me.
I was going to say, do you get, like, the other parents at the school kind of chopping it up with you about the fights and stuff like that, like picking your brain in that regard, or maybe not so much?
Yeah, for sure. There's something about fighting, man, that's, like, different than other sports. It's just everybody's interested in it to some degree. Even if they're, like, against fighting and they don't really like the violent part, they just ask, like, so many questions, always. And then there's the people that are just so intrigued by it. So it's a unique sport. It's a unique job that always people are always asking, what's this like, why do this, what does this do, who's this, so I'm constantly getting asked questions from all parents and students and everybody.
Yeah, for sure, keeping it fun there. Good, you're providing that insight and stuff like that. But I was seeing something that you had up a couple weeks ago talking about, like, just how fighters can sometimes maybe fluctuate in the weight between fights and stuff like that. Like, how do you, I guess, navigate that part of it? Like, what's your methodology to, like, maintain the weight in, like, a reasonable kind of spectrum so you can, like, have the quicker turnaround for fights, but also just the general overriding health part of it?
I don't really have a method, bro. Honestly, God, part of it is to bless pretty quick metabolism, and the other part is I'm always training. I'm always doing something active, so I don't really give myself time to really get out of shape. I know a lot of guys, they kind of like, they blow up after fights and they get huge due to inactivity or just to, like, excessive eating or both. And myself, I don't ever do that. Like, I'll go on, like, a week after my fight and just kind of, go on, like, a bit of a food bender and eat whatever and whatnot. But then after a week, I just kind of feel a bit sloppy and I just, like, start to tighten it back up. And I still don't even eat, like, super, super clean. I eat clean, but for the most part, but I still enjoy myself, and I'm able to keep actually a pretty light weight all year round. Some guys, that's why I even thought about dropping a flyweight, because I know some flyweights that walk around even heavier than I do at bantamweight. So I don't know. I thought about it. I think if there was a 130 category, I'd for sure do it. But that that extra 5, that for 126 would be definitely tough, because I'm already pretty lean at 35. But at 35, I still feel strong, and I feel I don't feel like I'm just getting bullied around or pushed around, even though some of these guys are huge. But by the time I get into the cage, I think the difference is a lot of these guys, like, they'll balloon back up and they'll be bigger than me, some of them, but they won't. I'll be at the weight that I walk around at normally outside of it, so it's not like my body's so used to it. I think that's an advantage.
Yeah, I guess maybe I thought there might have been a methodology to it, just because you seem like very, analytical with a lot of aspects of the game, and that seems to extend to the sports psychology as well. Like, how much has that helped you in just the last number of years, just, with because it seemed like the performance anxiety was like a thing with you for a period of time, like even in some of your previous victories there. Like, how important has the sports psychology facet been in the last number of years for you?
Yeah, huge, and that's why I started doing it on the side myself and trying to help people with that, because it was something I was never taught, never discussed with, and it was just something I always just dealt with, and it definitely hindered a lot of my performances big time, performances, like you said, that I won even, and the ones that I lost. It just, you worry too much, you start fearing failure too much, and you have confidence issues, and then you start getting, in your head and doubting yourself, and then that leads to a lack of motivation too sometimes, and eventually maybe burnout. So all these things are very relevant and important, and I think most of the people don't really deal with them properly. And some people are good with them; they can just kind of naturally handle it, and they're fine with it. Some people can't. So for me, it was something I had to really work on.
Yeah, for sure, and the results very much have been there the last little bit. No doubt, but a post I saw a little bit ago, I mean, obviously you have a fight lined up here, but I was seeing that you seem to have a level of interest in that James Gallagher fight there, just because of the proximity you guys have in the rankings and whatnot, with you being at number 9 presently and him being number 8. Is that a fight you would like to see come to fruition down the line at some point? Like I said, obviously you got to focus on this next assignment here, but is that a fight you would like to see, I guess, actualized into reality at some point?
Yeah, for sure. He's, in my division, somehow ranked ahead of me. And I don't think skill set wise or record wise or anything like that he should be. I think just due to the fact that he's had more Bellator fights than me. It comes from McGregor's teammates, who's got a huge following, especially in Ireland. So yeah, that's a fight that I would love to get. I wanted to get that. I tried to get it. And I from what I've been told, he did not want that fight. He took a fight with Brett Johns instead, which is an unranked guy. So it really doesn't make sense as far as, if you want to start fighting guys in the top of the rankings. But yeah, that's a fight that I would love to get. I know they're fighting in September. So yeah, I would love to get him or the winner if Brett wins. For sure, that's definitely one I would like.
Yeah, and I would imagine there'd be a level of it being a bummer, like being ousted from the Grand Prix field just because of the injury and stuff like that. But is there also a level of benefit to, like, just kind of seeing how it plays out and everything like that? Because, the Grand Prix winner will obviously have to have someone to face at the end of it, and there's going to be certain fallout in the division. So is there a silver lining in the situation in the sense of seeing how certain things shake out in the division, or would you ultimately have liked to still be in that Grand Prix field?
No, ultimately, I would just like to be in it. There's really, I was bitter for a long time and pissed about it, but it is what it is. It happened. But yeah, so, and that's kind of the causing issues too for me now, be getting matchups too, because a lot of the guys were locked up in the Grand Prix, and now they just lost and they're out for a little while. So I was having really trouble. I wanted to get somebody in the top 10. I kept asking for somebody ranked ahead of me. And they just said there was nobody available right now at all, and Matos was the only name they gave me. And I was like, okay, well, it's a tough fight for sure. It's a risky fight because he's not even ranked, and he's probably better skill set than some of the guys in the top 10. And then he fell out, and now we got Brenos, and it's the same type of fight. It's just another fight. But would I like somebody ahead of me in the rankings? Yeah, but it just kind of goes to show the rankings really don't mean shit, to be honest.
Yeah, certain rankings hierarchies can be kind of curious for sure. Like, I was even kind of looking at the women's flyweight rankings the other day, and there's certain people where it's like they'll have lost to one of the people lower in the rankings, but they're still higher up. So yeah, it can sometimes be a whole mess there. But I wanted to talk about the commentating end of things there, because it seems like you've been really settling in well with that BTC commentating role and stuff like that, and unfortunately have to miss the next one coming up because of the fight timeline and everything like that, kind of like with the St. Catharines show there, but just how has the whole experience been there, just doing the commentary and everything like that? It seems like you really put a lot into it and get a lot out of it as well.
Yeah. It's if you had asked me that, however many years ago, if I'd be doing that, it would have been 100% no. I'm not known as a talker. I'm not a very talkative person, but when I have to, I definitely can. And it's something that I fell into by accident one day, and I really enjoyed it. And then I just kind of started doing it. I did a couple amateur shows, and then jumped right into the pro show. And it's been great. And I think I'm continually getting better at it as I do it. Just like anything, the more I practice it, and the more experience I get, the more comfortable I'm getting with it. And it is. I really enjoy it. I love fighting. So besides being in the cage actually fighting, I think it's the best seat in the house to be actually sit there and call the fight and then interview the fighters after that. So it's something I want to continue to do once I'm retired, and I would love it if I could make that a part-time or full-time job, a regular gig.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how it came about by accident, though. Like, was it just like a vacancy popped up last minute and you were like helping fill a spot? Like, how does one accidentally fall into commentary?
Yeah. I was at an amateur show, actually, and Robin Black was supposed to do the commentating, and Robin's a friend of mine, and he was running late. He was at an airport or something, and he was running late, so they asked if I could fill in for him until he got there, and I did the first half of the show, and then I did it with Alex Ricci. We did it together, and then just like, oh man, you're pretty good at commentary. How long have you been doing this? I'm like, it's my first time, never. And that was kind of the first little taste of it. And then I did another one, an amateur show with Jason Hagelin, who I do the commentating with for BTC actually. And we just kind of kicked it off and had good chemistry on the mic together. We set each other up well. And then we did a BTC show, and we just continued ever since. So it's, like I said, something I just totally happened to fall into that day just from being at the fights. But yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, cool to see you in that sort of position and stuff like that. I was seeing a post a little bit ago too, and I'm curious to get some insight on it. Like, you were rocking the old photo of gentleman Jerry Valiant there, your late great uncle there, and you were saying like, oh, I gotta find the jacket there for the walkout. Have you managed to find the glittery gold jacket for the walkout, or maybe not so much?
I did, man. I found it. Obviously not his jacket, not the actual one, but I found one as similar as I could get. But I got her.
Yeah, I just love that dynamic there, just with that being the inspiration to the nickname and everything like that, just like the gentleman lineage and stuff like that. So yeah, that's cool that it's like rooted in the family and everything like that. And I guess it strikes me as funny, like you were talking earlier about like not really being much of a talker and everything like that. I guess that strikes me as funny coming from like a pro wrestling lineage. I guess one would think you'd be coming out there and cutting all the crazy promos and stuff like that.
I know, right? If you ask my family or close friends, I'm actually naturally a very shy guy. I was always a shy kid. But when it comes down to like kind of flipping the switch to do an interview or promotion or anything like that, I can do it. And I don't know really where that comes from. I guess maybe, like you said, the lineage there, that it's kind of in the blood. But yeah, it's something that I'm liking more and more as I get older, and who knows, maybe it'll take me to another avenue. I actually even did a pro wrestling show one time. I had a wrestling match, so and I had to cut promos for that. So it was fun. Just kind of like gotta get over yourself a little bit and just do it. And once you do it once, twice, three times, it just becomes like anything. You become more confident at it. So it's fun.
Yeah, I felt like you were doing like an MMA versus pro wrestling kind of angle before that really settled into becoming the more like popular kind of like, I guess, storyline framework there. Like I felt like, was it Alpha One you were doing that with like a little bit ago in Hamilton?
That's right. Yeah. My buddy Mike Curtis asked me to just kind of get involved because he was a wrestler on the show, and we did it, and it kind of blossomed into something else, and it grew, and then it grew into an actual match, with some promos, and it was super fun.
And just shows the interesting, like, blurring the lines, like, how you can just adapt to what's going on kind of situation. Like, just in the sense of, like, you got the rear naked choke on, and you're like, oh, he was supposed to tap, but, then he didn't. And then all of a sudden, he stopped moving. Like, it seemed like, the crowd kind of got it over, rather, and were, like, really resonating with it. But there probably was that moment where you're like, damn, like you're supposed to tap, man. Like now you're out. But I guess it did parlay into something good, right?
Right, yeah. So it actually kind of worked out even better because it was even more realistic, I guess. Instead of just getting the tap, he's actually snoring there. And I don't know if Kurt did that on purpose or he just, maybe thought he could last a bit longer. But yeah, it made for a good ending, that's for sure.
And I was seeing, like, from the article that I'm kind of deriving some of the source material from that Dave Meltzer put together a while ago, like, he had an anecdote where he was saying that on the season of The Ultimate Fighter that you were a part of, that there would be, like, some frequent, late night pro wrestling talk with, like, Shayna Baszler and some other, like, prominent modern wrestlers who are in, like, WWE now and stuff like that. Like, do you remember some of those conversations with Shayna Baszler? Do you guys still keep in touch at all? Was it mostly just the Tough House interactions there?
Oh yeah, I remember for sure. Yeah, she was great, man. She was cool shit. Me and her kind of hit it off, and we always talk about stuff like that, like wrestling, and yeah, it's great to see that how well she's doing it. It's definitely her calling for sure, and yeah, super cool to see that. Very very proud of her accomplishments in that field, and yeah, I remember actually even when I posted that. Picture about the jacket, the gold jacket, she commented on saying something like, you got to do this or something like that. But yeah, so yeah, for sure, it was cool to see her go on to become, like she's at the top of the heap in pro wrestling, really. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool that you seem intrigued at the idea of, like, doing more down the line. Like, obviously MMA is the focus now. I guess, like, reading the article, I was like, I wonder if that's, like, a one-off sort of thing, or if maybe, like, a certain bug was caught there, and it's like, I'd like to do some pro wrestling a little more down the line, but it seems like that's the case.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm not big enough. I'm way too small. And secondly, I don't think I'm not like a Rey Mysterio type. Like I'm kind of scared to do a backflip, land on my neck,
Yeah,
and be dead. But I would definitely do stuff more along the lines of entertainment. I'd love to get more into whether it be acting roles or things like that. I've done a little bit in the past, not much. Done like a commercial and some extra work and things like that, but that would be something more along the lines I would definitely get into after I'm done fighting for sure. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be super cool, man. And yeah, it seems like you got a lot on the go and a lot coming up, and just, yeah, really looking forward to this fight too and everything. But I don't want to be chatting your ear off all day. I imagine you got some other things to do. It's fun getting to chop it up a bit, but just, is there anything you might want to add as like a parting thought as we're wrapping up here, man? It seems like you got some cool new like retro shirts going for this fight here and stuff like that. So maybe a little bit of that, maybe get some representation with the shirts going on, or just really anything you want to add as a parting thought.
Sure, yeah. If anybody wants one of those, you can hit me up. Just hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, whatever. But yeah, I'm a huge, like, I'm a retro guy. I'm a nostalgic sucker. I love 80s, I love 90s, and those were the shirts were kind of a 80s, early 90s theme based. I like that. I think my favorite type of music right now is like, I don't even know if anybody's heard of this, but like that, like synthwave, retro synthwave type music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've been rocking out like the Midnight and Gunship. Those are like really what I've listened to the most right now. So they're all that's kind of inspired I guess my childhood. I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, so that's why I always really been drawn to that stuff. So yeah, if you ever want one of those shirts, anybody hit me up through my social media.
We're gonna be rocking like a synthwave entrance theme for this one. I feel like that would set like a good vibe.
I know, right? That's the thing. I've had the same walkout song my whole career, except for my first fight. I've kept, Journey, Don't Stop Believing, and I just become, synonymous with me now, and that's why I always walk to it. My wife actually did a rendition of it for my last fight, and it's like my daughter at the start of the song, and when she's just a little like baby, she's like, "Dad, you gonna go fight soon?" And then it kicks off with a different remix of it, so it was pretty cool. So right now we're rocking that, but maybe down the line I can switch it up and do something like you said, like a synthwave type remix or something.
Yeah, well, that remix sounds super cool, man. Definitely don't want to be switching that up. Some cool family dynamics there and everything like that. But yeah, really looking forward to checking out this fight here at Bellator 284, and I think that'll be a shared sentiment among the Bellator fans on August 12th there, checking out this upcoming fight with Marcos Breno. And just, yeah, thanks so much for giving the time and insights, man. Much appreciated, and just looking forward to peeping the fight when it goes down, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day too, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Anytime.